A wall of turbolasers lit up the emptiness of space, tracing bright red lines across the battlefield. Rebel X-Wings and A-Wings weaved between green bolts, and the hum of their engines thrumming in every comm channel. But then, as suddenly as a complete power outage, the Death Star's defense grid went dark. There were no TIE fighters, no Star Destroyers moving in. The Millennium Falcon leading the assault flew right into the Death Star's perimeter unchallenged. The rebels aboard the Falcon watched in astonishment. It was impossible to tell whether this was a malfunction, an elaborate trap, or some miraculous stroke of luck. But nothing in the galaxy came so easily, and each passing second on the Falcon's bridge made everyone more uneasy. Han Solo shook his head and said in a tight, uncertain voice, "Chewie, you seeing this? It's like they set all their weapons on snooze. In all my years smuggling, I've never mind." He glanced back at Leia Organa and added with forced bravado, "I guess we take the advantage while we can." Leia Organa narrowed her eyes and responded swiftly, "I don't like this, Han. It's too quiet. The Empire doesn't just power down its defenses for the fun of it." Chewbacca let out a deep, anxious roar. Meanwhile, Luke Skywalker closed his eyes and drew a long breath. He tried to touch the Force, expecting to sense the usual presence of Imperial might. Instead, he found something strangely absent. Luke Skywalker spoke in a low, puzzled tone. "There's something else here, something I can't feel in the usual way. It's blank, like a void in the Force. We should be careful." The Falcon scanners confirmed the entire station was running at minimal capacity. Seizing the moment, the Rebel Alliance decided to board the Death Star and investigate. They believed the Emperor had fallen, and any Imperial efforts to maintain this superweapon must have crumbled. Now, with the defense grid silent, the rebels hoped to claim a major victory for the Alliance, or at least gather intelligence. Soon, a strike team forced open the Death Star's massive blast doors. Beyond lay corridors of eerie silence. No stormtroopers, no alarms. Flickering overhead lights marked their path. Han Solo led, blaster in hand, with Luke and Leia flanking him. Chewbacca followed, carrying his bowcaster with uncharacteristic ease. A handful of rebel soldiers fanned out, cautious but determined. Han Solo whispered, "Scans show power surges in the lower decks. No life signs though, not even droids. If the Imperials left, they sure didn't power this thing down all the way." Luke Skywalker, clearly unsettled, nodded. "Let's keep moving, but stay alert. There's something unnatural about all this." Signs of panic and abandonment greeted them at every turn. Scattered rifles and helmets, meals left half-finished, chairs toppled in a mess hall. Yet no bodies, no visible firefight. A suffocating sense of dread fell over the group. At times, the lights blinked to near darkness, unveiling the corridor in haunting flashes. Then, a glistening substance came into view, like resin coating patches of walls and door frames. Leia Organa knelt beside a torn Imperial officer's coat and said, voice laced with concern, "Han, Luke, take a look at this." She gestured to a thick trail of slime leading into a ventilation shaft. Whatever happened here, it must have changed the entire station. Han Solo forced a half smile and mumbled, "I've seen plenty of weird beasts in the Outer Rim, but this is definitely not bantha drool." Deeper inside, the temperature plummeted, and the overhead lights revealed something far more horrifying. Black resinous material was spread along the corridor walls in bulbous formations, sometimes fused to the Death Star's own wiring. The group's footfalls echoed in the silence. Luke Skywalker stiffened and held out a warning hand. A faint skittering noise came from above, like claws scraping against metal, but no one could pinpoint the source. Suddenly, a shriek cut through the corridor. Blaster rifles rose, beams scattering in every direction. The sound ebbed away, replaced by the gentle drip of condensation, and something else. Rounding a corner, they discovered a horrifying sight. A stormtrooper pinned to the wall, cocooned in slimy organic material. His chest was ruptured outward. Han Solo winced, turning slightly green. Leia Organa swallowed hard, her eyes wide with terror. Han Solo managed to say in a hushed tone, "By the stars, what could do that? From the inside?" Leia Organa shook her head and answered grimly, "I don't know, But we have to send a warning. We can't let the fleet come in unprepared. They moved on, stepping over more resin and scattered gear. In a small control room, dead technicians and troopers lay fused to the walls, all with the same gaping wounds. The entire area dripped with mucus-like substances. It felt as though the Death Star itself was transforming, hosting a parasitic infestation. Luke Skywalker stared into the darkness. He said quietly, "I've heard rumors that the Empire was dabbling in bioweapons from the Outer Rim. They must have brought specimens here and lost control." Suddenly, the ventilation shaft above burst open, spraying sparks. A sleek black shape dropped behind them. It stood tall on two legs, its elongated skull shining under the corridor lights. In one fluid motion, the creature impaled a rebel trooper with its spiked tail, acid drool sizzling against the grated floor. More nightmares emerged, each with the same shiny black exoskeleton and razor teeth. Han Solo shouted, "Everybody, fall back!" Leia Organa raised her comlink, her voice urgent. "All fighters, we have unknown hostile organisms on board. This is not Imperial. We have an alien infestation in the Death Star." Luke Skywalker ignited his green lightsaber, its hum resonating off the corridor walls. In a swift stroke, he cleaved one of the beasts in half, but sizzling acid blood spat out, eating away at the floor near his boots. He grimaced at the toxic fumes. Luke Skywalker muttered, "They're strong, but I can't feel them in the Force. It's like they're invisible. I have to see them to know they're there." He realized with growing alarm that his Jedi senses, so reliable in detecting life, were failing him against these creatures. Scrambling through corridors, the rebel team tried to regroup near the main reactor antechamber. The Xenomorphs attacked from every angle, crawling along ceilings, lurking in shadows. With each blast of rebel weaponry, another creature hissed and spat acid that ate holes through the metal floor. The entire station groaned under the strain of close quarters combat. Han Solo shouted to Luke, "I hate to say this, but I actually miss stormtroopers right now. At least they couldn't shoot straight." Leia Organa pressed against the corridor wall, panting. "Luke, do you sense any path we can take? Anywhere these things aren't?" Luke Skywalker closed his eyes, attempting to locate something in the Force. He did not feel the creatures. What he felt instead was a black void. But deeper in, near the old throne room, he sensed something. It was a dark cradle of movement, like a nest. Luke Skywalker opened his eyes and said, "They have a lair where Palpatine's throne room used to be. I think we need to destroy it at the source." Guided by Luke's certainty, the rebels ventured toward the Emperor's former stronghold. Palpatine's large windows were shattered, the once elegant black architecture replaced with pulsating organic layers of resin. Dozens of translucent, slimy eggs lined the walls, and the battered remains of Imperial royal guards lay about, armor corroded by acid. Raising his lightsaber for light, Luke saw more than just eggs. Cocooned Imperials hung from the ceiling, some still alive, softly moaning. Han Solo's expression tightened with revulsion, and Leia Organa drew a sharp breath. Then, one of the nearest eggs opened. Out sprang a small, spider-like creature that latched onto the helmet of a rebel trooper. He dropped to the ground, screaming, the parasite tightening around his face. Chewbacca roared, grabbed the writhing creature, and hurled it aside. Leia blasted it with her pistol, sizzling the thing into lifeless scraps. Han Solo backpedaled and exclaimed, "We've got to set charges or blow the reactor or something. I don't care if we have to vaporize the whole floor." Luke Skywalker leaped forward, lightsaber raised. "Distract them. Han, Leia, start setting charges around the perimeter. We have to destroy these eggs." As the team moved with grim resolve, a towering xenomorph crowned with a ridge-like crest emerged from the darkness behind the throne platform. Its head nearly scraped the resin-covered ceiling, and it let out a shriek that rattled the walls. Dozens of drones poured in from the corridors, forming a living wave of teeth and claws. Luke Skywalker and the other rebels fought ferociously, cutting down or blasting any creatures that came close. But there were too many. In the chaos, a facehugger slithered across the floor and latched onto Luke's arm, curling its tail around his neck. Before Leia or Han could tear it away, Luke collapsed, eyes rolling back as the parasite locked onto him. Luke sank into darkness, his consciousness flooded with alien images. The parasite tried to implant something, yet at the same time, it encountered the immovable presence of the Force. Luke's mind became a battlefield between the invader and his own will. From the outside, Leia and Han managed to yank the facehugger free of Luke. Its acidic blood burned Leia's gloves, but she gritted her teeth, killing the creature with a precise blaster shot. Luke's eyes snapped open with a jolt. For a split second, a strange luminescence lit his gaze. Han Solo exclaimed, "Kid! Luke! Can you hear me?" Luke Skywalker pushed himself upright with a trembling hand. The entire Hive seemed to shudder, as if in response to some new command. Drones paused, shifting uncertainly, while the Queen hissed and paced behind the throne. Leia Organa blinked in surprise, noticing the drones had stopped attacking. Luke Skywalker managed, I can feel them, like a new sense. They're in my mind, but I'm still me." The Queen hissed, baring her dripping fangs, but instead of lunging, she lowered her head. Her brood took a step back, as if recognizing a new authority. The rebels looked on in disbelief, uncertain whether to trust the momentary ceasefire. Luke rose shakily. Around him, the entire throne room was a tangle of eggs, slime, and battered Imperial remains. The charges around the perimeter blinked ominously, ready to detonate in minutes. Han Solo checked his chrono and urged everyone to hurry. "We're out of time, pal. We can't just sit here while the station's about to blow." Leia Organa stared at the Xenomorph drones warily. "Luke, we can't let these monsters spread. Are you sure you can control them?" Luke Skywalker inhaled deeply and replied, "They obey me now, like I'm their queen. If we blow it all, we lose a chance to repurpose this station. It's almost operational. We could convert it for the Alliance." Han Solo gave Luke a look of sheer disbelief. "Are you crazy? We can't risk the entire galaxy for that." Before Luke could answer, a tremor shook the Death Star. The meltdown caused by acid damage was rapidly escalating. The rebels raced to disarm their own explosives and head for the reactor levels. Luke, wincing at the swirling presence in his mind, beckoned the drones to follow. Reaching the reactor core, they found columns of smoke and sparking consoles. Pools of acidic blood had corroded crucial support beams. The entire superstructure teetered on the brink of collapse. Rebel engineers and soldiers scrambled to patch coolant leaks and reroute power. At the same time, Xenomorphs climbed overhead scaffolding, responding to Luke's silent cues. Han Solo marveled at the sight, wide open. "I never thought I'd see the day these bug-faced monsters would help me fix an Imperial weapon. This is a new kind of crazy, even for me." Nonetheless, it worked. The meltdown stabilized bit by bit, accompanied by squeals from alien drones risking exposure to extreme heat. By the time the last leak was sealed, the station ceased its death rattle. The battered rebel squad collapsed against walls, exhausted, while Xenomorphs slunk into shadowy corners to regroup. Hours later, the Alliance's main fleet received an incredible update. The Death Star had been captured almost intact. It still bores the scars of alien infestation in a half-finished superlaser, but the rebels had neutralized, or at least contained, the Xenomorph threat under Luke's guidance. They began to retrofit the station, removing the Emperor's dreaded weaponry in favor of a base that could serve the galaxy's cause. Luke Skywalker gazed down a corridor where two drones perched like silent sentinels. He spoke to Leia in a quiet voice. "The Force works in mysterious ways. This bond feels permanent. I sense their impulses, but I can direct them. Maybe I can use them for good." Leia Organa replied, managing a slight smile. "It's not perfect, but we'll make it work. We've fought through too much to give up now." Han Solo couldn't resist a weary joke. "If this new base doesn't scare off Imperial leftovers, nothing will. I just hope these creepy crawlies don't keep me up at night." Chewbacca rumbled in agreement. In time, the one-sphere Death Star became known among the rebels as Haven Star. While the galaxy whispered of nightmares lurking in its corridors, the station was now under the Alliance's watchful eye, and Luke Skywalker's improbable connection to the Hive. Some in the fleet wondered if Luke had fallen to darkness, but those who knew him trusted his judgment. After all, a Jedi can always walk the line of light and shadow without letting the darkness consume him, if his will is strong enough. And so, the rebellion found strength in one of the Empire's deadliest remnants, forging an alliance nobody could have imagined. Hope, in its strangest form, took root in the Death Star's halls. For the galaxy, it was a reminder. Even the darkest chapters can be rewritten into something new. Thank you for listening to this tale of what if the Xenomorphs from Alien invaded the Death Star. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. May the Force, and maybe just a little bit of alien cunning be with you, always.